Hello, so I'm back. Gonna try and make another beat, go through the whole thing with you guys. I'm gonna make a UK drill beat, one that something I've never made before. And all I did was I went on YouTube and watched a tutorial for it, and by Jay Cactus, he seems like he's very good at it. And so now I'm gonna try and recreate something in that kind of vein and walk you guys through the process of my steps. This is, well, this is making a UK drill beat for the first time. Maybe that's what I'll title the video, we'll see. Maybe it'll be bad, maybe it won't. If it's bad or not a UK drill beat, I'm just going to pretend I was making a new genre. I'm not going to pretend. I am making a new genre, whatever my genre is for UK drill. So first off, I'm going to put the BPM, we'll do like, I don't know, 147. I was seeing it was supposed to be like between like 140 up to like 160, like lower 140s or something. So we'll do 148. It was really out of my wheelhouse because normal like hip hop that I make is in like, like 90 to like 120, 130. This is getting kind of way up there. So now next up, I want to basically do some sort of VST or some sort of plugin that can give me a pretty eerie sound. So for anyone that's listening to that UK drill, it's pretty defined by the drums, but the sound in the background is really going to be a very, well, kind of like tense. Typically in like a minor scale. So I'm going to go through here and select something and kind of go from there. Alright, so in Omnisphere I found this lead. I was kind of playing around with it, and I was able to make a nice little sound out of it, so I'm going to build that out. A nice little tip for you guys. When you're going to select a sound, I was going through Omnisphere here, I would just scroll down until I found, or keep spamming keys until I found something I liked. And what I would do is, I don't use a keyboard or like a piano keyboard. I do have one. I just kind of typically mess with my own keys, my computer keyboard. You can take this and then set it so, for example, I put it in D minor because drill typically in a minor scale. And so whenever I play a note on my keyboard, it's just going to automatically go within the D minor scale. I'm not going to really mess anything up. So I just scrolled down, found this sound, and now I'm going to try and layer something out to make some sort of half decent chords for a drill. So we'll see how it goes. So as it turns out, this is a melody I started kind of putting down. You guys can hear it here, just see the progression. So I actually like that a lot, but the synth I chose was a lead, and I don't know if this is the thing of all leads or just this particular one, but if I actually try and put down a chord, it'll only play one note out of it, so it's going to sound exactly the same. I guess it just takes the highest note, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to open up Omnisphere again and wait for my computer to stop dying and find where's clone? And find another synth to make some sort of like eerie chords under. But we've already got a good foundation. I'm a little wary of it though because it's really gritty. But we'll see what I can find. Alright, so I got completely carried away and got a dark piano. I mean, this is a creative process, right? Everything keeps changing. But I got a kind of a darker piano and made a more melancholy type set of chords, which I'll play here in a moment. But all I really did was kind of play around with different chords, pretty much all minor, because minor is how to make more negative sounding. Not always, but it's typically the way. Major is typically associated with being more happy. If you want to make a minor chord, if you actually just look whatever scale you're in, you can put note down, count up 1, 2 to the next one in the scale, and then 1, 2, 3, and that right there would be a minor chord. If you want it to be a major, then just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And so you'll notice pretty much all of mine go 1, 2, well, actually this is 4, but here's a better example because it's just 3 chords. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And if you have any other issues with that, you can always go up here to this little or this circle, come in, you can always just pull up like a minor chord or a minor 7th and just put it down. So anyways, here's the melody I started with. So there's that. So I made another small tweak. I went and split what was here up top, and then not only that, so this original kind of melody, or well, it's part of the chords, but now it's really more part of the melody here. I can play it for you. So you notice I shifted it a little bit here at the end, and then as well for the second part of this kind of melody, I took it and swapped it from going from C7 to B6 to where it starts on C7, but then it goes down to B6 as an extended note, and then it pops up to C7 sharp and continues going instead of up, down, up, down, up, down. It goes from down, up, and then down, up, and then kind of leads back into a bit of a changed up melody, and all kind of loops around really nicely. So here it is. So there's that. Next up, I think I'm going to get into the drums unless I want to add anything more to the melody, but I think this is pretty good for now. And I don't know if I stated this before, but to get it more of a strummed feel, a little more natural, I highlight everything, hit Alt-S, and then pull up the Strumizer, and then you can just tweak with the settings to make it how you want it. But, for example, you can take the strength and shift it way off. So I'm going to get rid of that. But it just gives it a more humanized, natural feel. So I went and applied a flanger. Just sent this to Mixer Track 7 and put on Fruity Flanges. Everyone should have it if you have FL Studios, and if you're watching this video, you probably do. And I put it onto the just thick default setting and reduced the mix level to about half. You can see up at the top left there, 48%. And now it sounds like this. Now what I'm going to do is, the big thing with drill is the drums. So I'm just going to throw those on now and get started with that. And yeah, I'm going to see if it's very bare bones or not. If it isn't, then I'm going to stick with it. If it is, then I'm going to add another melody or counter melody, something like that. I'm leaning towards I'll probably have to, because you can see this whole area in here is, minus that little G6, is just open, which is good because it leaves some room, especially for the artist. But this is a pretty basic melody, but a lot of drill melodies are, so we'll see. But I'm going to add those drums and I'll walk you guys through it. Alright, so here we are on the drum roll. I added the classic drill hi-hats and the snare. And it's similar to a boom bap type deal. Normally with like kind of boom bap hip hop, you can do your hats on just the 2s, and you can do the snares on the 2 and the 4. But with more of a drill approach, you're kind of going to be, at least in the hi-hat, you're going to be in a pattern of 1, skip 2, 1, skip 2, 1, skip 1, 1, skip 2, 1, skip 2, 1, skip 1. And that just repeats the whole way. Snare is a little easier. You want a nice, short, punchy snare. You don't need something with like a huge tail or a lot of transient. Because drill, with it being so fast, you don't want all these sounds to really be playing with long tails behind them, kind of muddying the mix. So this one's pretty short. Not too well. It's not too bad. Actually, it's a little long, but it'll work. And then that kind of gets you that classic drill bounce. Now I'll show it to you here in a second, the other thing I did want to mention is I did do a little bit of editing with the melody. I added some notes here in the just kind of in the mid-range, kind of fill it out a bit on the second half, give it a little more distinction and a little bit of more of a jump. Just kind of splitting up these B's a little bit and a little bit over here as well, and just kind of turning this into what a quarter note. So you'll hear the drums and you're going to hear the slight changes. I'll pull up the drum roll here so everyone can see it. But this is really where we're at so far. So there it is. You can kind of really get a lot more of that bounce from the drums. And this is really kind of the basic core of the beat. Now we can go ahead and start adding a little bit more pizzazz and spice to it, do a little bit more with the drums to kind of fill it out, maybe add a harmony, another instrument to kind of layer over everything. So we can go ahead and do that. Alright, so I know it's been but a second for you guys, but I went and hit the gym, having a protein shake, and had some of my mom's cinnamon buns, which are absolutely fucking delicious. Pardon my French. But coming back to the beat here, where I left off, so I was going to add a harmony and fill out the drums and stuff. Don't worry, I looked at the old video, and I brought up this EQ here because this will be kind of a nice little demonstration to show you guys really what I'm trying to do for this next harmony, right? So I'll play the beat, and then on the EQ here, it's going to give us it's going to show all the frequencies, and kind of where it's lighter in the area for the frequencies, that's where we really want to find an instrument to kind of fill that out. So we can watch this here. I'll turn that way down so you guys can hear me. You can see it's really got a lot going on here in the low mids and the mids. Looking at about 200 hertz to about 2000 or so. So we really could use a little bit more in the upper end. And we do see we have a lot of bass going on down here. We actually don't really want that because I want to fill that out with like an 808 or a synth bass or whatever it is I want to do. So I'm actually going to take, any of these will work, and chop out that bass. Just kind of clean that up, and I'll even take out the highs too. So it's going to sound pretty much the same. Right, not a huge noticeable difference. But now that those areas are really cleaned up, we can kind of focus on getting a little, some other synth, a little bit more in that kind of high mid category, kind of up in that 5K and 10K and whatnot. It doesn't even go super crazy high because there are some frequencies that human ears can't hear. And then we'll throw in the 808 or the synth bass, whatever it is we decide to do, which then that'll really fill out the beat. I'll take that. So give me 1 second. I'm going to find an instrument because I know I'm going to be plowing through instruments for a while to try and find the right one. But I'll show you guys that in a moment when I have it. Alright, so I lied. That actually took me about 2 seconds. I immediately found the instrument. I am nothing but a fraud. But I went and threw it on. It's some thing called Eastside Drunk Organ from UVI Workstation from the FL Cloud, which I'm trying out. So I don't really know too much about it yet, but I'm getting through it. And it really did a good job of kind of filling out the highs. However, it was extremely loud, so I linked it over here to the master, and you can see it's like cranked way down, but it's still very audible. So starting off, I'll just show you, or we'll start kind of with one loop of what the beat was, and then I'll add the harmony in so you guys can hear that too. So there was that. Now with whatever, the drunk organ. You can see I EQ'd both of them and this one's the drunk organ. I took out the lows on both. I can probably scoot out a little more on the lows here. But you can see how this really fills out a lot more of the high, especially because I let it. But you really get a lot more of that high presence out of it, and they're both kind of still hanging out in the mid. So there's that. Now, I'm going to go and add the bass, probably just an 808. Now, the big thing with drill, and I've seen it done a couple different ways. One way, and the way that I kind of like, is you go heavy with the 808s at the beginning and kind of the end of the phrase here. So we're really going to focus kind of in like the first measure and the last. Maybe like the second and seventh as well. There's not really a ton going on in the middle. I've seen people do it the whole way through as well. Either is fine, but I'm just going to focus more on the first and eighth because just as an artist myself, it's kind of nice having that room in the middle just to play with. Then, so the 808 and the drum and whatnot, we'll put all that on as well. And that's really going to fill out that low end. So we'll do that now. So I'm adding in the 808. I got the one selected that I want. Kind of want a nice long one. This is what I'm using here. Just a really fat bass. Really nice. The reason why I'm kind of stopping here in the middle to talk about this quick is with this 808, right? If I just play it, you can see beyond the note, it actually continues to trail off. And I don't want that, right? I want to have complete control over the sound. So if you bring it up, and so here's your kind of main window that'll first come up. Click on this envelope instrument settings, and then volume. What you can do is you can take, is basically you're looking for a box here. Attack down, hold full, decay down, sustain down, release down. If you want to have a slight kind of like fade in, you can put the attack up a little bit. It's really up to you. But this way, when I play it, this will now stop right at the end of the note. So that way I have complete control over the sound. I don't have the bass kind of building on top of each other. If I were to play multiple notes in a row, this note would then start trailing into the next note, which would not be good. And another thing for you guys to check for your 808s is, and I got this from J Cactus, who is the man. You can take this, you want to look at it in the audio editor, bring this up, click on this little flag thing, and what I'm going to show you here is how, or looking at the pitch, this comes up and says C2, right? That's good. It's telling us that our drum is pitched into C, and whenever, whoever you get your drum kits from or whatever, the FL Studio just assumes however it comes is pitched at C. Okay, so if that was actually pitched at D, and the system assumes it's pitched at C, you're going to be off your pitches for your 808 the entire time. And that's the same with anything you get. Could be just if you get it from your instruments from a reputable source, it's really not a huge deal. But that is something that you want to check out. My 808 is pitched into C, so that's good. If you wanted to pitch it somewhere else, you could right-click and say, "Hey, this is what it's pitched as," and then whenever you go into the piano roll, it'll be all okay. It'll be all set all right. But as long as it comes in as C, and you have your C right-clicked, you're fine. So there's that. And now I'm going to go ahead and put down the 808s. I know, maybe I'll do this live. We'll see. See how this goes. But I'm thinking, it's already going stellar. For me personally, I like to have my 808s, my kicks. Like whenever you're on a beat and you almost can like feel your head want to go forward, like that really strong beat. That's where I really like to have my 808s. So I know I also typically like to have it right at the beginning of the phrase, the first measure, and then kind of filling in between. But that's kind of more of a hip hop boom bap. Well, I shouldn't say boom bap. They don't really use 808 too much, but more modern hip hop now. But I want to have it definitely here on the second. But I don't want to go boom boom. Maybe it'll work. And then probably go kind of crazy here with some like 808 slides or something at the end. I also feel like another one's going to be good there. Bah! I'm going to sit down and play with this for a second and get you guys something nice. You'd have to watch me toying around through the entire creative process. Alright, so I made the 808 pattern, and before I show it, I did pitch it up 1 octave. So if you control left click and control up, it'll move it up, or down, it'll move it down. It was down here, I moved it up from where we were. So it's a little higher pitched. It's still in the bass sub-frequency range, so that's all good there. For anyone who doesn't know what an 808 slide is, we'll kind of go into it. A normal 808, just how I showed it before, right? Taking these out, nothing crazy happens. What happens is, with these funny looking notes here with the little triangle, you just click on it and that'll give you a slide. What happens is, this note here, this E6, as it's playing, when it hits the beginning of this note, when it hits the beginning, it's going to then pitch up to match the pitch of the slide note. And it's going to do it in the duration of time of, well, the length of this note. So if this note was way out to here, this would start as E, and then right as it hit the beginning of the note, it would slowly start pitching up, and it would hit that pitch by the end right here. Where I've got it, it's going to basically come up, and the moment it hits that note, it's going to go mew, way up, and then way down for this one, and then keep moving forward, right? Nothing crazy. This one will pitch up as well, so then you'll kind of hear it. So pretty nice. I think it works well with the beat. Kind of losing a bit of the darkness from UK drill, but that's totally fine. Like I said, it's a new genre, right? I'm not bad. It's simply a new genre. So a little bit more of a, I guess, melodic UK drill. I don't know, but there's that. Now, so like we add a little bit more to the core of the foundation of the beat, and we really have all the frequencies. Now I'm really going to look to add more. I want to get the kicks in for sure. Probably have them follow similarly to the 808s, and I'm going to add a whole nother section of what are they called, hi-hats, in for just to add a little bit more complexity and just kind of thicken the beat up a bit. And then as well, I may layer, so there's the snare there, put like a clap or something with it too, just to make that a little bit thicker, because I don't know if I'm completely sold on just, right, it's got a, not quite, I don't know if it's entirely full enough, but we'll see. Those are things I'm probably going to add, and then I'll catch up and review that all. So I'm looking for kicks right now. I did not make it any further from where I just commented. I wanted to make a point of I'm looking for kicks with a good amount of punch, right? UK drill is supposed to be a little bit more hard hitting, that dark kind of feel, which we're losing, but we're still kind of staying with the drill portion of it. And now this kick here, it seems pretty decent, it seems pretty good. I like it. So I'm going to use that and then kind of start loading that into the beat. But I want to make a little bit of a point for the sound selection there, right? Don't want to look for something like that one's kind of softer. That one's really soft. That's pretty good. But the one, I don't know which one I like more actually. Yeah, like you wouldn't want to have like the kick 7 there, but something with a good bit of oomph to it. I'll actually probably go with kick 5 just because we don't need the length to it. So now I'm going to load up the beat with all the kicks. Okay, so here's what I've got. Added some drums, making it a little more spicy. And the big thing I really want you to notice is I don't have a lot going on here in the middle of the phrase. It's just 2 little kick drums. And really the only reason I did that was just kind of, it was so bland. And then the 808s come in right here, halfway through the 7th measure and the 3rd measure. So just kind of nice little open pocket, boom, boom, and then getting into the harder 808s. I'm actually going to move these up a key. There we go. Now they're in key. What's going on? There we go. It's an epidemic out here. Getting back to the kicks. There we go. So here it is. Let's hit the stop recording button there for a second instead of the pause song. So that's where we're at there. Last thing I really want to add now to round it out besides thickening out the snare is going to add a little bit more in the way of hats. Just get more of those kind of like kind of rolls. Make it just a little bit more interesting. Still trying not to get too chaotic, because one of the big things that I think is the enemy of the modern day producer is they overproduce the beat, right? You need to leave enough room for the vocals. And even right now, like, this is getting into a pretty good spot. And I know it still, to some degree, feels a little naked, and I feel that too. But you have to leave room for the artist to actually be able to get on and maneuver in the track. And especially if you go way too crazy with the drums, they're going to be really kind of pigeonholed into a box with what flows they're able to use. So, like, you just, and you get better at this over time, but you just need to remember to leave a pocket for the vocalist or the rapper, whatever they are. So, like I said, I'm gonna add some with the hi-hats, but nothing, just a little bit of flavor, nothing super crazy. And still, once again, just kind of looking for a little short, little punchy hi-hat, which most of them are, but every now and then you can get one with a little bit more of a tail that lingers. All right, when I said I wasn't gonna go crazy with the hats, I lied, because I did. And, well, I'll just show you what I did here. The hats I put in, for the majority of them, they're at a lower velocity. If you come down here to note velocity, you actually see the majority of them are lower than the typical or what I had the other hats at. The other ones are pretty much at a normal, and I might even boost them up a little bit, because these are just supposed to be complimentary, just little ear candies, right? The other thing that I did with these, and these blobs down here, are actually just a pile of hats right in a row. It's going to sound pretty cool, at least in my opinion it does. If you want to do it, you can get the paintbrush. It's also just hit B on your keyboard as long as you don't have a piano keyboard selected. And you can paint them in, or if you hold Alt, you'll get them going crazy like one bar, but it's, just a ton of different hi-hats. And that's how I painted those in. The other thing that I did with them was under the panning. I went, and most of them are pretty much in the center. But whenever we get to the hi-hat rolls, they're going to go from left ear to right ear to left ear. And it's kind of the same as the velocity. It's just if you want one to go right or left, you just grab one of these. That's to the left, that's to the right. So, and so you can hear this. Here it is. So I think that sounds pretty nice. It's pretty busy there, which is good. And for anyone that has a keen ear, you might notice my snare is slightly louder because I layered it with a clap. So before, it was this. But now, I know. Enthralling, educational, I'm the man. So, as far as I really think that's pretty much going to be the base of the entire beat. I think I'm going to go and arrange it now. I don't think there's really anything else that I'm going to add. But we'll see. I might do something funky, like take the entire melody or the entire harmony and melody and stuff and reverse it. But who knows? Maybe not. Maybe we'll get crazy. Maybe we won't. Probably won't. Because if I do that, then I'll probably have to redo all the drums. And I don't feel like doing that. So, alright, so I've finished arranging. And other than what you see here, I didn't really do a ton. I did a little bit of mixing, but not much at all. Just kind of changing some volumes and stuff. But anyways, I put some labels up at the top here so you guys can really see. I spaced it out more so it's just intro, 8 measures, 8 more measures of verse, then going right into the hook, verse, for 16, hook for, I apologize, verse for, what's that, 32? No, 16. Hook for 8, the breakdown, and then another hook to end it out. I've seen a lot of, what's its UK drill, do a 16 bar verse and 16 bar hook. Now, like I said, I come from more of the boom bap background, so I kind of structured it this way. Felt like it would just work a little bit better for the beat because I don't have tons of elements in it to really stretch it out for super long. Forgive me, I'm getting pretty tired. And on top of that, some other stuff you can do to really give it a little bit more pizzazz is you can add things like drum fills and just randomly just wherever to make the drums go more crazy. But this one being a almost more like mellow, melodic type beat, I didn't really feel it needed that. However, and plus, I didn't really feel like throwing on any drum fills or finding any or doing whatever. But what I did find was this neato fucking pan, which probably is not the bee's knees for the beat, but I was like, whatever. So I can let some of this play out, but I'm not going to play the whole thing just because I don't think you guys really need to hear all that. Unless you really want to next time. Or put some in the comments, let me know if you want me to play out the entire beat for future videos. But you can hear this kind of come up in transition, and then I got to figure out how I want to actually rap to all this, because I really have no idea. This is like, UK drill is supposed to be like hard stuff, and this is more chill, vibey, but like with some hard 808, so it's like pulling in two different directions. I got no idea, but I'll figure it out. It'll probably take me a couple days, but you guys won't see that. It'll just be like a click of a video. Must be nice. So we'll see how this goes, but I'll play out this first little part so you guys can kind of get an idea, and then from there, just so you guys know, I really structured it. For the verse, I just did it to where I made sure I had a little bit of a change up going from the first, what's that, 8 to the second 8, and then it kind of just drops off right here, minus the 808s, so that way the chorus has a little bit more of an impact. You don't want to just have everything blaring all the time, right? You kind of got to build up, get the big chorus, drop down, slowly build up, drop down into the actual chorus, and then breakdown's pretty bare bones to then one more chorus. So we'll start this off here, let you guys hear it. So there's all that. The only thing I didn't include in this, and the pan was neat, I'm just saying, it was the move. Right there, I did not include this clap and snare. Actually, I'm probably not going to put it there either, because I just want for the second, or in the breakdown and for the other hooks, to just have a little bit more impact. So that's all there is to it. And like I said, I'm going to go and figure out how to rap to this thing that I've made. I'll do it tomorrow, though, because I'm tired. Long day. But it'll be fun. Alright, I'm back. Even though, once again, it was just like a second for you guys. But for me, it's actually been like a week. Because my work ethic is clearly relentless. Hope everyone had a Happy New Year's. I had a Happy New Year's. It was nice. So as you can see, we jumped from having all the instrumentals, and then I've got the vocals down here, a little bit of automation, and this here is actually just the instrumental all rendered together. But we'll kind of go over all this piece by piece. Let's see. We can honestly get rid of all of these. I'm not going to be using them for a moment. So on the beat, I didn't really. It's pretty much all the same. The only thing I really changed was I took out some 808s here, And I did add this little synth. Once again, it's one of the UVI things. But I just added it there to add a little bit more kind of spice to the beat around at the end of the, I guess technically second verse, because technically that's a verse there, and that's the second verse. And put some markers up there as well to make it a little easier to read. But my lyrics start, it's basically, what's that, 8-bar intro, and then getting into a like half verse. I might put on a little intro there, that's why I left it, but if not, it's just kind of the, empty spot. I come in for 8 bars, it goes right into the hook, and then I actually structured it so I alternated just hook, verse, which is obviously normal, but the verse usually being 16 bars for 8, 12, 16, and the hook is actually also 16 bars. I don't know why I did that, I just did. Remember, it's not bad, I'm just making a new genre. Or at least that's what I tell myself. So I just found it got a little boring coming up here, up into the hook. So I made the second little synth part. Hear it. And then that extends out. And one of this automation here is just to reduce the fader. That way it just has a subtle fade out while the hook goes in and plays. So that's pretty much the only editing I did to the beat, just to kind of add that. Then, like I said, I added the vocals down here. Bring those back online. And it's just the verse, the hook, verse, hook, verse, hook. For the hook, all of these down here are just doubles. Right, it's the exact same thing, just more backing vocals. My vocal chain is the exact same thing, except the EQ is cut a lot higher up. So some of you might be interested in that, some of you might not be, but that's all it is. The EQ just gets cut around. It's a high pass filter, cutting off the lows around like 450, 500. And then I have all of them running through it to make just that hook a little bit thicker. Normally, in the verse, on the second half, I would add either vocal doubles or some ad-libs. I didn't really feel this song needed it, so I just didn't. But a lot of times people will add, oops, oh yeah, we're going to zoom in here. There we go. Some doubles on the second part of the verse. Like I said, I didn't feel it was necessary, so I didn't do it. And, oh, and actually one other little change that I made. Since this is, the synth is coming in right here on the second part of the verse, just for a slight transition, I added these little bongos here. You can kind of hear that. So nothing crazy, right? Didn't really do any editing to it. I think it just, that bongo there, brought the fader down a little bit, that's all. So without further ado, so I'll show you guys the song. I went through and did a lot of the mastering myself, and the FL, I did the FL Cloud mastering as well. This here is not that version. I'll probably post that version, but it didn't really do a ton. I'm not super impressed with the FL Cloud mastering, to be honest. But I'll show you guys this version here, or at least some of it, so you guys get a sense of it. But yeah, here it is. Oh my god. And then I'll actually pause and break down some of the parts as we go through it. So I'm not just going to let the whole thing play, but I'm just going to do a couple, insert some tidbits about how I went and approached things. So here it is.
The only time I feel so fucking free is when I am breathing the life to these beats. My headphones, my speakers, they're speaking to me. They say these silly things like follow your dreams. Life can be a prison, I've got all these bars. These words are the key, like a double entendre. They mean more to me, I twist them, you see. I escape these measures so that way I can be getting to the end, destroy these walls around me. I fall, doing these things so that one day I ball. One day I ball, doing these things so that one day I ball. Hop in my car,
So one thing I want you all to notice, coming from just the verse into the hook, you can see this mix level here. That's actually going into the reverb. The reason being is this kind of the beat seemed a little more dreamy and ethereal, and so I wanted to have a decent amount of reverb on everything. But coming up into the hook, I wanted it to get that little bump up of reverb just to kind of help separate it a little bit. Because other than the little pan that I added, there's not really a ton to say, hey, like this is the verse. So I put in that little simple jump just to kind of help emphasize the verse a little bit, and then or the hook. I apologize. And then coming up here, you'll notice it jumps back down, so that way there's less reverb and the verse is a little bit more dry. Kind of helps, has that little bit of contrast.
so that one day I ball. Hop in my car, I drive it so far. Feel like I get nowhere despite all the yards. But I feel so alive, outside 9 to 5, taking shots on the goal and feeding my soul. Feel like the only time I ain't in the bind is when I am rapping these rhythms of mine. Building up me to make music and soar. I've got all the keys now to open the door. Life can be a prison, I've got all these bars. These words are the key, like a double entendre. They mean more.
You can hear that nice kind of fade out there. And I don't have this playing during this hook. I do during the last one. I felt there was enough change and it was dynamic enough that I didn't need to put that third synth, that additive synth there, that kind of almost like acting like a pad in the background for the whatever verse that is, the second and a half, I guess. But then I added it during the last chorus just for a little bit more contrast. It's the biggest, most grand part of the song. So you guys already heard that hook there. It's just the same as the front one, minus a little bit of that. So then this here is going to be that third verse where everything really drops off. I used gross beat to just really switch up the beat, right? I didn't really feel like adding a counter melody to that part specifically. So I just added gross beat to kind of make it a little bit more jumpy. Gross beat's a plugin. Let's see, yeah, this one. Should come standard with FL. And then I went and just did returner 1. So you'll hear this kind of jump.
Owe it to the people that don't see things the same. But I believe the equal just need change in the brain. I'm always flying faster and changing my states. Solid like snake, you matter, your corks won't be replaced, you're great. I know, I don't chase dipoles, don't hate, that's low. It's a bait, man knows. I always got bars, cause I always am an artist. It's in the bag for me, cause I'll always be a G. Life can be a prison, I've got all these bars.
So then you can hear that last bit of the chorus has that extra pad just to make it a little, or the synth, whatever, to make it a little thicker, a little nicer, biggest part of the song. Something I did want to point out here, since I had that gross beat in there, and if you're just making a beat or if you're doing vocals, that change up in the beat is actually really nice for the artist because it lets them kind of get into different flows that sound, that they'll just make more contrast with the song and make it a lot less boring. So it became a lot easier for me to kind of get a little bit more of a choppier flow and ride that out a little bit better. And then you'll even notice here on the last part where the 808s go like dun 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 dun, or whatever it is. My words try and line up with that, and it just kind of makes a little pleasing effect.
Always got bars, cause I always am an artist. It's in the bag for me, cause I'll always be a G.
Yeah, that.
Always am an artist. It's in the bag for me, cause I'll always be a G.
It's in the bag for me, cause I'll always be a G. And like I said, just with that flow, like I was kind of able to just ride the 808s, which is really nice. And for the rest of it, I just kind of was able to use that chopped up gross beat. So it really makes a nice change from the rest of the song and keeps it interesting. In terms of writing the lyrics, the way that I did it was I use an online thing called Simple Note, where, actually, I wonder if I can even pull that up. That's ChatGPT. Let's see here. Simple note. Log in. Oh no, my email, it's leaked. Oh my gosh. Alright, give me a second. Alright, I'm back. So, what's nice about Simple Note is you can actually link it with your cell phone. So, that way, you type anything in there whenever you're just listening and making lyrics, then you can just bring it up on your cell phone. You can sing or rap off of looking at your cell phone. So, pro tips for you guys out there. But I went through, just wrote lyrics as I kind of felt it, and try to put a couple double entendres or, kind of lyrical cool stuff in there. And I go through, since I'm not in like a music studio or anything, I write out all my lyrics, get the flow down, and then I record them all in the same day in the same shot, so it all sounds pretty similar. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of a patch job later on, but it is, not the biggest deal. So there's all that. That's pretty much the whole song. I will post a full version later on, but hopefully this tutorial helps some people out. I'm going to keep making full songs, and hopefully you guys learn something out of it. Otherwise, I'm going to bounce, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.
Life can be a prison, I've got all these bars. These words are the key, like a double entendre. There be more to me, I twist them, you see. I escape these measures so that way I can be getting to the end, destroy these walls around me. I fall, doing these things so that one day I ball. One day I ball.